Hello, everybody. So it's Monday. I can't not talk about MSTR on a Monday. So I'm going to briefly talk about MSTR, briefly talk about Robinhood, and briefly talk about Applovin today. Let's get started with MSTR. The bears are going to be mad, but technically, we outperformed Bitcoin today. Of course, the iShares, the IBIT ETF, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, same market hours as strategy. We were up 2.12% for the day and up 2.29% for the day for strategy. So we technically outperformed again Bitcoin. We've outperformed Bitcoin. Of course, this outperformance was much greater at the beginning of the day, and my guess, my hope, is that he was ATMing, especially after such positivity over the weekend, especially after breaking a new all-time high. He reported 3.9 billion in fair value appreciation, so that $8 to $9 billion number that he published yesterday, that was for the week, because we had an outstanding performance of Bitcoin last week. This is for the quarter, 3.9 billion. So outstanding. They're going to have a great Q3 earnings. The algos are going to pick this up. So I think this is bullish. And a last thing that is bullish, and this is the first time I see this, is Stretch traded above $99 all day. All day long today, Stretch was above 99. So Stretch was technically ATMable all day. And so this is good stuff for strategy, and we'll see if it breaks 100, and then if it breaks 100, then we're going to see that ATM for sure if it breaks 100. I don't know if we'll see it at 99 plus. We'll know next week. I hope we see it in maybe even 99.60s like it is right now. Yeah, you could ATM a little bit just to test it out. Anyways, strategy doing well, strategy outperforming, even though not by much. We're still outperforming. We'll take it. Now, I want to talk about Robinhood, because Robinhood was down at market open for about 30 minutes today. It was down for me, not just for me. If you go on the internet, Robinhood was trending being down. And of course, for many of the crypto stocks, including our favorite stock, strategy, right? For many of these stocks, that was the moment of all-time high. So I don't really care. I wasn't going to sell. I wasn't trying to do options or anything like that. So I don't really care. It doesn't really change much. But to the trader, this is quite important. And I haven't seen any acknowledgement from the company for this. And Robinhood should be very, very careful about that, because Robinhood is not like any other broker, right? You remember the GME debacle. If you want one broker to really not be down, it is Robinhood, because of what happened with GameStop back then. And it was just 5 minutes into the outage, and you already had outrage over the internet. People saying they're doing this to help the shorts, to help the friends, etc., etc., etc. So, two takeaways from this. First of all, unfortunately, I think Robinhood is up there as one of the best brokers, if not the best. But unfortunately, having other brokers is important. Spreading your money across multiple brokers is important. One is down, the other one may not be down. So diversification of brokers, I think, is important. Another one is as this happens, and the more this happens, and Robinhood sometimes is pretty slow, especially towards the end of a trading day. As this happens, this is a vote for apps to move on chain, for all of these apps to be built on chain, built on a blockchain. And to me, that's the future of money and the future of stocks. Stocks will be traded on chain at this point, on decentralized exchanges who can actually handle the throughput or handle a shutdown or a server or anything like that. So, it'd be nice to have an acknowledgement of this from the company. I didn't see any. I think Robinhood needs to be particularly careful with this because of what happened with GameStop. And, that's very unfortunate. People notice and people are loud when their app doesn't work, especially when it comes to money, right? It's not like a Facebook app does not work. This one is, a lot of people have a lot of money at stakes, and a lot of people do options especially. So imagine if you do options. Yeah, you'd be pretty upset. Anyways, Applovin. I want to briefly talk about Applovin because I've received requests about Applovin. I've seen it in the comment section before. And, of course, it's a mobile advertising company. Helps, with the privacy changes at Apple, with the iPhone. They were able to pick up a lot of steam, a lot of business, thanks to their way to advertise, which apparently is much more efficient. Well, apparently, according to the SEC, they've had non-compliant or violations in how they collect the data or data collection practices. Who knows? That's not the point. I mean, generally when I see these things, I'm tempted to say it's a nothing burger generally, but that's not the point. Applovin is not a stock that I would invest in because of the valuation. If you look at valuation, I think it's crazy. Enterprise value over revenue, forward revenue, right? Next year's revenue is 26. If you go enterprise value over this year's revenue, you got a 40. Close to a 40. So this company is way too expensive in my view. Enterprise value over gross profit over revenue growth is a 1.43. Rule of 40 is great, but rule of 40 is not a measure of valuation. And to give you an idea of how I view this company as expensive, for example, all of the stocks right here, I would much rather own. All of these big tech companies, I would much rather own than App, and they're all cheaper than App. All of them. And of course, NVIDIA, look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is 0.61. It grows twice as fast as Applovin. EBITDA margin is similar, gross margin a little lower, but bunch of cash, leader in the field. So anyways, even Google or Meta, they are cheaper. Meta is growing 19%. It's not too bad, is it? Right? So even compared to big tech, this stock is very expensive. I do not understand that. I like high growth stock. Applovin is a high growth stock for sure. But it is not at a cheap price. So, to me, I stay away. And it may look like a deal because it was trading at 718. Now it's 573. But, it's just still too expensive. And sometimes you got to look at the fundamentals. I know some people only invest on the technicals, but not me. I look at the fundamentals. So anyways, this was my first time and perhaps my last time discussing Applovin on this channel. Anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.